Welcome to Interpreting Music, the show in which we take a recent track, react to it, discuss it, and analyze it.
I'm Matt Ferrandino. I have a PhD in music theory.
And I'm Frank Nara. I have a doctorate in music composition.
For today's episode, Frank is going to be sharing Mumbo Jumbo by Tierra with me. After taking a listen, in part one, we'll break down the song, its lyrics, history, and cultural context. In part two of the episode, linked in the description, we'll analyze the musical components of the track. Be sure to listen to the entire track, which is linked below.
So, initial thoughts on the tune.
In particular, I mean, obviously the main thing that comes to my mind is what the performance choice in terms of the pronunciation or, the actual rapping or singing, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. For the lyrics, I get probably one in every 3 or 4 words. Sometimes it's like clear. She's like, I raised my head up high. Or there's possibly hand. There's some ambiguity in terms of what the actual words are, but then it kind of literally mumbles off or trails off at the end of things. Mm-hmm. So my first question, I guess, for you is that, how important or how critical are the lyrics, and has she released them in some fashion? Like, can you look up the lyrics on, like, I don't know, in your favorite search engine or something?
Yeah. Well, okay, so she's put lyrics out for this in the video. If you actually turn on the closed captioning, there are user input lyrics, meaning the content creator put lyrics in with the video for the viewer, but they're very clearly not the lyrics. It's like a rap or a poem or something that she just made up, and they're backwards. So you can't read the text without very carefully and slowly reading from bottom right to top left because they're backwards. So you can get it, you can get something. So that's fascinating. So the whole mumbo jumbo aspect of it is sort of reflected in how she put it out into the world as a video and as lyrics. So, and the other thing is, this may or may not be important, but it's interesting. I watched an interview with her where she said part of her process, and I think this is true for a lot of musicians, especially vocalists in some way, part of her process was to simply, hear the beat and kind of like literally mumble over it, like to get a vibe for the flow and come up with a melody. And she had that recorded, and she was like, you know what? This sounds great. And that's the song. So, yeah, I'm not sure if I answered all your questions there, but to at least answer some of them, I think the lyrics are intentionally meant to come across as, what the fuck is going on? Like, why is she doing that? Shouldn't we be able to hear what she's saying? Because you can sometimes. I raise my something up high, blah, 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 real low. Like, so it's interesting that you can pick up some things, but then other things you can't. So it's like, wait a minute, am I supposed to be able to pick everything up? Or, yeah, I don't know if that answers all your questions, but
yeah, definitely. No, I think knowing about the that sort of compositional process behind it, because I've done that as well. Where you've got like a chord progression, you're just like humming along or recording something as a melody to refine. So it's an interesting thing. Is there I wonder too, then, is there a, what's the right word? A criticism of maybe some other rappers, or either, current or previous, there's been a slew of rappers who are, not as legible. I mean, not only rappers, singers in general. I mean, Kurt Cobain comes to mind in terms of someone who's really hard to understand. Alanis Morissette in some ways is very unclear, just to think back to the 90s. But, Busta Rhymes sometimes is like, what's he saying? He just kind of sounds like he's barking or yelling.
Yeah.
So, do you think there's a broader criticism?
So You've probably heard the term mumble rap, right? Maybe not.
If I have, it was probably through you. So
Okay. Well, so I pulled up my favorite example of mumble rap, and probably the when people hear the term mumble rap, they probably think of this guy, Young Thug. Have you heard any of his music?
uh, not offhand, nothing comes to mind.
Okay. But anyway, so like he he had like a lot of his songs, especially his earlier to like mid career. I mean, he's not done, he's not dead, so it's hard to say mid career. But like, so the song I'm about to play came out in 2015, so 2 years before Mumbo Jumbo. And this song and a lot of his early stuff, you can't really hear most of what he's saying. And when you do pick things up, it's like the vocabulary makes like it's like okay, I understand the words that he's saying, but the syntax is kind of weird. So even when you can't understand it, it's very odd. So anyway, I'll just play a little bit for you of Best Friend. It's this name of this song is Best Friend.
I'm a skeeto, little nigga, come catch me. And that's my bestie, my bestie, my best friend.
Pretty similar beat too.
Nigga living
Similar
TTG
build up,
and
similar build
everything
up.
is still on fleek. Bad bitch rolling with me, she gon' smile cause she on fleek. $100,000 I might pay my shit on bleed. Yeah. Take them boys to school. Swagger number 3.
So anyway, you see what I mean? Like you have these vocals that like you can't understand most of what he's saying.
This brings up then another question. I mean, I associate this through you at least with more of kind of a Midwest style, where it's like, or that may be the wrong word, but like anyway, you got like your trap beat, then you've got kind of this sad melodic, or minor melodic kind of repeated
Yeah.
riff going on, and really there's not really much else that happens. There's a little bit of build and you know kind of sectional divides in terms of the form, but it more or less stays the same. Even just comparing the two we just listened to, the Tierra wax sort of inflection is kind of downward, right? And you kind of can hear the first bit and then it kind of trails off. And it was the same in the Young Thug example. I feel like I heard the first part of each phrase a little bit clearer than the end.
Yeah, that's a good observation.
So is this a broader kind of a regional genre thing? Is it just part of kind of this inclusion of trap beats as a style of rap? Or
Well, I mean, in regards to trap beats, they're ubiquitous now. I mean, Ariana Grande hit songs have trap beats, you know, because it's just been like, hey, people like that, so let's just like beat it till it's dead, and we get every cent out of it. So, but to answer your question about the regional thing, this style of rap is much more associated with the South.
and you're talking the Young Thug, or you're talking both?
Yeah, so I think Tierra Whack is from Philadelphia, but you know, yeah, Young Thug is I believe he's from Atlanta. I could be wrong, but the whole mumble rap thing, you know, Kodak Black, Young Thug, artists like that are more from the South, and you know, unlike so there's Midwestern hip hop where you have drill, which is you sort of have similar types of beats to what you hear in trap music, which is more associated with Southern artists, you know, Memphis artists, Atlanta artists. What separates mumble rap from sort of the Midwestern hip hop, especially of similar eras, is honestly the ability to hear the words really clearly. I think that Midwestern hip hop artists have, you know, I'm going out on a limb here because somebody could probably prove me wrong, but my observation has been that Midwestern hip hop artists, if you're comparing them to these artists of the same or similar era, they have a specific story or message that they're trying to get across. So they're going to want you to hear their words. Whereas with like trap, not necessarily trap overall, but artists more associated with trap as opposed to drill, which is a Chicago Midwest thing. It's more like party music. Like you just something to dance to, something to vibe out to. So I think in a lot of like Migos, right? They're another act that's associated with mumble rap, and they're Atlanta. They're associated with trap. I can think of artists who don't fit that mold, like Ti. He's an early trap artist, and some of his stuff's a little mumbly. I'm hearing it in my head, but that also has to do with how much you listen to it. Like maybe somebody can understand everything Young Thug is saying. But my point, all that was to say, I think there's the messaging influences the delivery. So like this song is called Best Friend. The hook is like, let me try to play the hook again.
That's my best friend. That's my best friend. Flex. Big old booty bitch message from Texas.
Okay, so best friend. That's my best friend. Gonna flex on him, something like that. Big old booty, something misses from Texas. Like, there's no message here. It's just like, this is a fun song. Even though in a lot of ways I find this song like almost unsettling in its like persistent nature, but it's like, it's just something to like, he's probably just like, I'm just gonna like write a song that I would want to listen to. But I'll play the rest of the hook.
What's necessary? I'm a skeet all the nigga gonna catch you. And that's my bestie, my best friend. Go best friend.
That's my bestie, my best friend. Good best friend. It sounds like, again, what does that mean?
Nigga living TTG and everything is still on fleek. Bad bitch rolling with me, she gon' smile cause she on fleek.
Bad bitch rolling with me, she's gonna smile because she's on fleek, which just means she's looking good. So like, this is just a party song. It's just a party song.
Okay.
Yeah.
Noticeably different though than since we're listening, more to the Young Thug track than probably we anticipated. But all the interjections, I mean, it's hard not to.
All the ad libs, yeah.
The ad lib interjections and the skeets and the whatnot are absent from the Tierra whack example. I think at some point she did harmonize with herself a few times, but it was homorhythmic at least.
Not to interrupt, but like I think that has to do with what I was just saying about the messaging. This is a party song, and the Tierra whack tune, whether intentional or not, is not a party song, but is a sort of meta musical commentary on what Young Thug's doing. So the fact that there's no ad libs, there's a little bit of overlapping in some of the vocal parts, but there's really no ad libs going on to speak of that would indicate, a bunch of people in the studio partying. Because otherwise the mumbo jumbo message gets lost. Like she's trying, I shouldn't say that, she's not necessarily trying, but what's coming across to me is this is a really great melody, a really cool beat, but like it means nothing. And her not having ad libs or anything makes that super pointed and makes me think about other music. And like, so this Young Thug tune, does this mean anything? Or is it just a party song? So it's sort of, when we're listening to these back to back and noticing what's different and what's similar, I think those comparisons are important to show, what the artist, whether or not they're intending it to be this way, what the artist wanted to put out into the world. Young Thug, a party song. Tierra whack, almost a joke, she's a funny joke, not a joke on herself, but
well, it's hard to tell. I don't know. I mean, there's kind of a tongue-in-cheek element to a lot of her stuff.
I agree.
I think that's for sure. But so it makes me wonder then about the whole idea of
freestyle.
There we go. Yes. So I think artists like Meg Thee Stallion or Juice WRLD, who are like the late Juice WRLD, I should say, renowned for like kind of having this just innate ability to just do it. But in a lot of in those two examples, at least, I think they're really clear, right? Like the enunciation is clear. You can usually tell what they're saying.
Yeah.
Do you? I don't know much about like the Young Thug production process, or the writing process. I wonder how much of that is freestyled or improvised or pre-planned.
I don't claim to be in the hip hop world. Like there's a lot of hip hop I like, but you know, I didn't grow up like listening to only hip hop. Like I listened to hip hop growing up, but that wasn't my primary thing. So take this all with a grain of salt, but there seems to be over the years less and less value on technical skill in terms of a rapper's ability to freestyle and rap in a manner that is really coherent. Like that is less and less valued, but there is still a culture for that within the hip hop culture. So like, do you know about the XXL magazine? They put out a video every year. I don't know if they've done it this year or last year actually, but several years over the past decade or two, they put out a video of young rappers freestyling all together. There are rappers who want to be good rappers, like technically good rappers. And then there's rappers who want to make good music, fun music that makes money. I mean, and that's probably all of their goals. Like for me, that's my goal. Like I want to make good music, fun music that makes me money. Like that's all of our goals as musicians. But like me, I'm a guitar player, but I'm not a shredder. Like I've practiced stuff and been able to shred like when I practice it, but that's not something I care about doing that much.
Right.
So I don't practice that. So Young Thug probably could do that, but
yeah, so it's like the Bob Weir versus Jerry Garcia, right? You've got this great rhythm guitar player, and he does what he does really good, and then you've got Garcia, who's this incredible kind of pseudo jazz rock lead player who does what he does really well. But they're very different styles.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. So and I'm bringing this up to like these are the types of rappers that you know definitely don't want to be associated with mumble rap, because they're putting themselves out there as I can do this. Like I am a good rap. Just like, you know, I would not enter a guitar competition. I just wouldn't do that. Like, cause there'll be somebody who's gonna just like shred and make me look terrible no matter how good I play.
It's you know? Like, yeah. So, okay. So it's like a jazz drummer entering a double bass pedal contest. Not to say that if you're a jazz drummer, you can't like you can't do a blast beat, but you know.
Yeah. No, I see what you're getting at.
The style of playing and practicing is very different.
No, it's more like a jazz drummer. No, it's more like a punk rock drummer entering a jazz competition. It's like I could play a beat that's fun and you're gonna dance to it, but like I don't know how to like do a drum solo over an 8-bar phrase, you know. Yeah. But so I wanted to bring this up too. So Tierra Whack, I would put her in the technician camp. She can fucking rap. So that's one other thing that gives my theory credence that she thinks this is funny, because she can rap. Like she'll post on her YouTube page, she'll post freestyles of her she'll just you know, her and her phone. She's on the subway and she just raps, you know, 32 bars or whatever, and it's fucking awesome.
But you know, it's like, you know, she can get at the essence of you know, kind of contemporary rap, but with almost without the message, right? I mean, there are moments, you know, I raise my head high, there are moments where it could be like, okay, this is almost like a you know, self-empowerment or an empowerment type of lyric, but you don't get the whole thing, and it's like you can kind of pull any meaning you want out of it, right? You can interpret a lot of the words you can't understand in so many different ways.
Yeah,
which makes it really cool, I think.